When you were here before, couldn't look you in the eye. Hello everyone, my name is Bradley. I have a Brad taste in movies, and yes, so I'm probably just going to be converting this channel into a movie review channel, and I figured, well, I'd start with this one because I went out and I saw this movie.
First I fuck your bitch, then I fuck your daughter. I don't give a fuck, yeah, your bitch, she call me father.
Despite the movie being 150 minutes long, I didn't really feel like it dragged until the very end. In the very beginning, for a good part of it, it's constantly changing settings. There's high stakes, it's really interesting, it's going through backstory. But I feel like eventually it just kind of starts to wane with that specific aspect, and I wasn't as interested. I feel like in the last segment of this movie, I didn't think that it had the same punch. I know it's kind of a weird way to start this off, but I think it's important to note, since this thing is a behemoth, I think it's also important to mention that I watched the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and I skipped the second one, and here's why. Because the first one, I didn't really like all that much. And I think looking back, it does make a lot of sense. There was a lot of gimmick to what they were doing, and it ended up being like the wave of what Marvel ended up just kind of moving forward with, where everything had to be very fourth wall breaky or lots of sequence breaking with like just jokes out of absolutely nowhere. But I feel like at least with Guardians of the Galaxy, and maybe I've kind of eased on this formatting a little bit, but especially in this movie, those moments just sort of came and went. Without too much disruption of the actual overall film. And I'd honestly say that about most of the little gripes that I had. There were a few moments where I was like, this is kind of an awkward cut. Like, for example, they had like the coolest fight scene ever. It was like crazy. I mean, it was like Beastie Boys was playing. I was like, yo, I love this song. I was like, with metal. How did a boy named Kettle? You know, there's like the slashing and the crazy stuff. I'm sitting there like, yeah. And then it like cuts to them like walking through a door, and I'm like, okay. It was weird. It was abrupt. It didn't really feel like it worked. And there were a couple of moments where it was like, this is such a high budget, production that people poured so much time into, and just like little things like that can actually just sort of break up the experience. The movie starting off with Creep by Radiohead was certainly something too, and I feel like it set the scene of it pretty much playing to the largest audience possible, which I will say that like this movie, it is dark, it is graphic. I feel like it's really pushing it. So my question is, why not just make it a rated R movie at this point? There was a lot of punch, but I feel like it could have gone even further. Well, there's some amazing action here, and there's a lot of impactful scenes, but I feel like because it's trying to, again, garner to as many people as possible, it really does hinder, I feel like, the artistic potential of this movie. Not to say that I didn't think it did well. I think that it was pretty good, but there were many moments where I was like, this is cool, but it's clear they're holding back. And I do feel that. And I feel like probably a lot of other people feel that. One of the biggest things about this that was spoiled to me directly was that, it's a sad movie. Tina watched this with her friends, and I didn't end up going along with them. I think it was because I was streaming. Yeah, I was streaming, doing my own thing. And she came back and was like, that was a roller coaster. And then on my way to go see the movie, she gave me a trigger warning about animal abuse. So she basically spoiled a lot through those two things. She doesn't think that it's a big spoiler. It really is. I'm good at putting together pieces. I heard that shit. I was like, okay, I'm watching the movie. I'm like, all these guys, they're gonna die. All right. When I saw the animals, the ones that looked like fucked up Toy Story characters from like the first Toy Story, like the degenerate toys, but for animals. Like when they started talking about names that they would have, and they were spending all this time around this circle, like, oh, my name is going to be Floor, because I'm on the floor. Hee hee, that's a cute name. Well, I guess I'd be Teeth, because I have big teeth. I'm like, all these guys are gonna die. So when it did happen, I just, I was like, I was so unfazed. The super dramatic music, I was like, they are literally trying everything. There is no subtlety whatsoever in this movie of how they're trying to make you feel, which is another problem I have. Just the overuse of music. Like, I don't need every single thing to be like orchestrated in a way that's designed to push me to force me to feel something. Sometimes I wish it would just like have me go like, whoa, that just happened. Damn. and make me sit with it, you know? But no, it's like, the world is over. And it's just like, oh my God. I will add that I cried at one scene in this movie where I mean, I couldn't hold it. And I was like, oh no, you know? It was, and again, this whole thing's fucking spoilers. What am I kidding? That Animals in Heaven scene, that shit made me a little, I'm getting choked up thinking about it. Everything else, though, garbage. So there was a lot of eye-rolling moments in this movie. There really was. But once again, I feel like even these little gripes that I had, the movie just moves on. It's beautiful. I mean, the actual scenery is great. There are a couple, again, moments where I'm like, this looks fake as shit. You know, like, obviously. But, I mean, to the degree of, like, you know, it's Marvel. You know, I expect the highest quality, you know what I mean, with some fighting scenes. There was one where there was, you know, in space or whatever, it was like two people fighting. This shit looked so bad. It looks so CGI, it looks so fake, it looks so awful. But then, like, again, it moves on, and there's more good in this movie than bad, for sure. But, yeah, there are a lot of scenes where I'm like, this needed to be cleaned up. But what's nice about this movie is, one, acting is great. Listen, Chris Pratt, not a great guy, but the dude is an amazing actor. I mean, he is an incredible actor. I understand why they keep going to this guy. He knows what he's doing. He is a compelling, charismatic character. All right, the dude oozes charisma. In fact, his character is designed around that. And a lot of these other characters, they know exactly what they're playing, and they did a good job casting, I feel like, in this movie. Except for when they don't, and when they just decide, we're going to do familiar faces, and then it, once again, makes things feel a little bit weird. Sylvester Stallone shows up on screen. I'm like, it's Sylvester Stallone. It's like, come on. You know, I don't look at this guy and say, this is not Sylvester Stallone. I'm like, it's legendary actor Sylvester Stallone. There was someone who looked exactly like Spider-Man's best friend in the Homecoming series and whatnot. You guys know what I'm talking about. I thought that was him. I just saw it. Apparently it isn't him. Yeah, I mean, some of the casting was kind of whatever, but some of it was great. I mean, the High Evolutionary, that guy was terrifying. All right? It was a good villain. They did a good job with him, but even then, there's still like a lot of, I keep saying this, ham-fisting. All right? Look, is Marvel, is Disney, there's going to be ham-fisting, all right? But, like, to this degree, I'm like, there is so much potential with this series. I mean, it's like, why you got to hold it back even a little bit, you know? Make it great. You know, don't just make it good, make it incredible, make it next level. I think that the perfect species just being a replication of humans is total and utter bullshit, which I feel like is one thing I do appreciate about the villain. They made it very clear the guy's just fucking psycho. You know, the dude's just insane, and he has no idea what he's talking about. He just wants to be God, and, you know, I think they did a good job of not trying to make his motives, like, unlike Thanos, you know what I'm saying? Like, Thanos, he's like, I want to get rid of half the population. I heard that shit, I was like, what if it's only women, and it's a male society? I'm just kidding. What I mean is, he's not a compelling villain. You want to see the guy suffer. But at the same time, the dude he's scary as shit. He is terrifying, you know? I'd give the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disney a 10 out of 10. I think it is the best ride at Disney. I think it is incredible. It's like super immersive. It's fast. The music's awesome. It kind of gives you that experience of like the best moments in this movie where it's just like an awesome action scene with like great, you know, easily recognizable nostalgia baiting music. Yeah, and it's good for a good length. But I'd give the movie Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a 7 out of 10, which honestly, I feel like there was a point when I was watching this where I was like, I don't think I could give it less than a 7, even though I had so many gripes with it, because I just had such a good time, you know? Like, yeah, it does a lot of things I think are very wrong about this kind of stuff, and I had a lot of issues, you know, with it, but overall, man, the stuff it did well, it did really well. And I'd rather commend that because I think that's the stuff I'm going to remember more. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for watching my review, and I'll see you guys next time.
Day, rich on man, bitch, know I'm here to stay. Know I'm great, fuck all the fucking hate. Already know, cause it's life.